Up, everybody? This is OneMicNite. Today, my guest is an incredible talent. She is an actress, producer, filmmaker. She does it all. She's an Emmy Award for the film Part of Florida PD, which is a documentary. She's also shortlisted for an Oscar for Little Miss Sumo. Very, very talented. So stick around. We got Karina Michel coming up for you in a few minutes. You're going to enjoy this. Hi, everyone, and welcome to OneMicNite, the podcast that brings you stories of artists and people on their journey, helping to guide, answer questions, and motivate you in life and the business. You already know who I am. It's Marco Solis, and I'm back. We're in season 6. We are almost at 19 years of OneMicNite. So thank you guys all for being here with me on this journey. It's been incredible, and I've had some incredible guests inspiring your lives, and today is no exception. My guest today is an actress. She's a producer. She's a writer. She's a former model. She does it all. She's an Emmy Award-winning everything. So please welcome Karina Michel to OneMicNite. Welcome, welcome, welcome in. How are you?
Thank you so much. I love that intro. Oh my gosh. I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Just a little hot here. I'm in New York, so it's heating up like I just told you, but we're going to make it today.
Hang it in there. That's good.
Listen, I have questions.
Yes, let's do it.
First question is, who is Karina Michel?
Oh my gosh. Okay, who is Karina Michel? Yeah. In a nutshell, I would say I'm a mom. I think that's the most important thing. That's my main priority, family and life. But I'm also a very creative, kind of like free being, so I'm always, I don't want to say pivoting, but like I'm always excited for what's next. And that creative journey is really what drives me. So, and that changes, that can change from day to day, month to month, whatever it is, whatever season I guess I'm in. But it's all good. And I love that journey, just kind of letting life guide you sometimes for what you're passionate about.
I like that. Where did you grow up? Where were you born?
Yeah, so I was born in England, close to London. And yeah, I lived there until I was 10 years old. And then my dad was an entrepreneur. And he had pretty successful companies. He was Entrepreneur of the Year, actually, when I was young in England. So they asked him to come over to the U.S. and start companies. And we came over to Ohio, of all places, which was actually great. I loved Ohio. A great childhood there. But yeah, so we moved over there, and that's kind of where I found out. The other thing I should mention is I learned a lot from my dad. Just watching him and about business and how to do things, to really go after your dream and make it happen. So there was that. But then in Ohio, I got discovered as a model at a local mall. And I wasn't a model, I should say that, when I got discovered. I was just there with my friends. I was a mall rat, and that was why I could go to the mall and hang out. So, but I got discovered, and like a couple weeks later, I was in New York City doing Supermodel of America, which was crazy, but really fun, and it was exciting, and I thought, this is cool. I like doing radio. That was kind of my first taste, and that was a long time ago in high school, but yeah, I thought this is fun. I want to do more of this. So I kind of kept the ball rolling, and yeah, here I am. So.
I like that. Were your parents supportive? Was your father supportive of you going into the arts? And
They were
Hmm.
very supportive, and I think that made a huge difference. I can't imagine if they would have pushed me into another direction that maybe I didn't want to go in because I was pretty headstrong at that age too. So I don't think it would have gone over too well. But no, they were very supportive. They came to New York with me
Hmm.
when I was doing all that stuff, and yeah, they continue to be supportive to this day. I think there were points where they're like, "Are you sure you want to do this?" You
Yeah,
know, because
yeah,
it's not an
of
easy
course.
industry.
Right.
But yeah, they're great.
Especially as a woman too,
Yeah.
especially I'm not sure how old you are, but I know I'm a man of a certain age, and the generation ahead of me, they always push the kids to do something professional. I
Oh,
personally
that
went to a professional school. I went to a boarding school.
did
So
you?
yeah, so
Wow.
everybody there was geared towards going to Harvard and Yale and being
Right,
professional
right,
and
right,
assuming
right.
their father's company and things like that. Whereas, yeah,
Exactly.
my mother sort of gave me the free will to kind of choose the arts, and I started doing, yeah, theater and things when I was young.
That's true. That's a really good point. Yeah, I
Hmm.
mean, I went to really strict like private schools in England as well. So I was kind of on that track. And at one point, I even thought, I was into psychology or medical school. I really thought at one point I would go that direction, but I'm glad I didn't because I don't think it would have held my attention that well. But I do love it, and it's kind of a passion of mine on the side. Just reading. I love reading medical stuff, which I don't really talk about that much. People are probably like, "What? It's totally different." But yeah, I love all that. Health and wellness and kind of
You've
that's
got a
all.
couple of films dealing with health and wellness and sort of mental health things,
I
right? And
do.
mhm.
Yeah. I think it's just so important, for communities especially to have a good plan for certain individuals that, may need help. And yeah, I mean, everybody, at that self-care aspect, I guess, even on a lesser degree, is so important. Just staying
Absolutely.
grounded and doing whatever it is that makes you feel secure and grounded and happy. And whether for me, it's walking outside. I always talk about that, just getting out into nature. And yeah, I need that. If I don't get that, then I'm in
Right.
trouble.
It's a mental health, and it's also a sort of inspiration for you too. I'm sure a lot of things come to you in terms of what you do as a storyteller when you're at that balanced point in
Oh,
nature, right? Yeah.
yes, that is my time when it's like my messages, I call them. I'm like, oh, that's a great idea. Where did that come from?
Right.
But it's true. That's kind of when you relax and ideas flow. And yeah, I get a lot of ideas then. And I also learn my lines then too. So I have this app that I'll, record them into on my phone and I'll
Hmm.
listen to it. So it's kind of like a subconscious thing if I have a lot of lines to do. So it's a little tip.
That's always interesting to me. Like we talk a little shop about actors. I'm an actor as well, filmmakers, how people learn their lines, how people make films. But yeah, I have a problem learning lines. So if we're gonna talk about this app, you can maybe you
Yes. So
can, yeah,
there are a
give
few
it away.
apps.
Mhm.
Yeah, like back in the day, I used to have like this is a long time ago. This is how long I've been doing this. But like a little like mini tape recorder. And I remember I had coaches that would tell me, just record your lines, but I'd have to stop it. And it was like this whole
Right.
thing to like, get them down. But just hearing it really helps. And writing it out. Sometimes I'll do like cards, depending on like this one I just did. I had like 6 mini monologues. It was so much dialogue, and I was just like, "Oh my God, how am I going to learn all this?" But it's yeah, just kind of splitting it up, into little parts, and it's not so overwhelming. But yeah, the app is amazing that I have, and you just record your lines. You can stop it, and you can play the other person's lines, and there are a few of them, I think, but they're super helpful, especially when you're on the go. You can just listen to it if you're on a plane or whatever.
Speaking of on the go, you're on the go. I know you do a lot of things. You go to a lot of film festivals with your films and things like
Yeah.
that, which is probably, I think, I listen to your podcast as well,
You
which is,
do?
I do, yeah. It's
That's
Coffee with
awesome.
Karina. Yeah. So I noticed that you record while you're at some of these events, right?
I do. I've started doing
Yeah.
that more, I think, the last, I would say like a year or two. And yeah, and it's been great.
I
It's
was going to
just,
say it's really interesting.
you like it?
I
Okay,
love
good.
it. I love it.
Yeah, I just
Yeah,
feel like people in the industry, a lot of people don't go out to these events, or maybe people that want to get involved, they don't know what happens there, what kind of conversations you have. So, and I'm all about that on mine, just doing real stuff. It's very similar to yours, actually, inspiring and just showing what really happens backstage, what you're talking about,
right.
what kind of things are going on. But it's definitely fun for me too, because it mixes it up a little bit, and you're out in the wild, you're
Mhm.
out in like the filmmaking world,
Yeah.
and you don't know how it's going to be or what's going to come up, so it's fun.
I like that. Yeah, it's the inside look on what's happening and people who are in the entertainment industry as well as people who are not in the entertainment industry can listen
Yeah,
in and you just, like you said, you hear the conversation that might happen.
yeah,
And whether it's networking or just a simple conversation about what's happening, in the immediate vicinity,
yeah.
yeah, it's great. It's great. What a great idea. I
Oh,
really
I
like
love
it.
it.
Hmm.
Yeah, and it's fun for me. So it's just kind of the norm. I mean, I try and go to these film festivals even if I don't have a film in, especially if they're local, just to get out and talk to people and just
Yeah,
like you said,
why would you say that's important to go to these film festivals?
it's good to know what's happening, what people are filming, and what's sometimes you'll see like certain trends to like certain types of films, and that happens. And it doesn't mean to say you have to do that, but it's good to see what's going on and just to meet people because these are other creatives. And I think that was something I didn't really realize was so important in the beginning.
Mhm.
But it's to get out. These are the people that you want to be talking to and working with, and this is your support system.
Right. This is your
It's like
community.
unity, and
Absolutely.
it's
Yes.
so important. And in the beginning, I think I don't want to say intimidated by it, but I was like, oh, you don't want to like
Right.
just, I don't know, get into someone else's space, but it's amazing. And they really, we're really just there to help each other. And it's a big supportive place. Yeah.
Absolutely. And you go there, the possibility of you working with these people is high. You go
Very,
to these places with intention, like
right?
intentionally go to these places and say, okay, I'm looking for a job as a producer. I'm going to talk to some of these filmmakers. Maybe I can get a job producing one of their films, the next films.
Yeah,
You
it's
go
so
there
true.
with that. Yeah,
Yeah. And they're looking, the thing is they're looking for that too a lot of time.
absolutely.
They're looking for people that are close by that want to do the same type of projects. So yeah, I mean, 100%. Definitely get out there and meet people. That's what it's about.
Do you have a favorite film festival that you've been to or a couple of?
Gosh, there's so many good ones. Sundance, always good, always a lot of fun. Tribeca is incredible. I had a film open there a few years ago that
Which film was
was
that?
amazing. That was Little Miss Sumo. I don't know if you saw that
Hmm.
one. It was a
Yeah,
short
great.
we did. We
Yeah,
were
of
actually
course.
shortlisted for an Oscar for that one too, which is incredible. But we got so close. I was so close on that one. But yeah,
Yeah.
Tribeca is great. But then the local ones, I mean, there's Dunedin, which is here in Florida, right on the coast, and it's a small town, just amazing people and amazing creatives and just a great time.
I love that. It's the energy, like you said, we've said
Yeah.
this before, but it's being around people who are in your community. You're seeing, I get so inspired when I go to film festivals. A lot of times I don't watch the feature films. I watch the short film
I do
blocks because
too.
I'd rather watch those because you get so many more films and you get to see so many different people doing different things. I love that.
Yeah, no, I
Yeah.
am the same way. I kind of have a short attention span too sometimes, so I love, I'm just gonna say I'm gonna out there, but I love going to the shorts because it's true, and you see the up and coming filmmakers because a lot of
Right.
times they're the ones that are doing the shorts, and you get to see so much more and meet so many more people. So yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. What is some of the advice? We talked a little bit about women in film. Have you had any hardships? And if so, what's some of the advice that you could give young women filmmakers and actors, you know,
Yeah,
to help guide them a little bit? Because it's
yeah,
a difficult career in
it
just in
is.
general.
Yeah, I think when I started, it was very male dominated.
Mhm.
And I think being a woman, a young woman, and going in, could be tough at times, but you know what? It toughens you up. It really does. So
Right.
I think it's just getting past that fear of being the judgment and going in and if you really believe in something and you're passionate about it, it's going to come through, and really just go in and speak your heart. And I think that's really what matters. I see a lot of times women going in and maybe sitting back and, watching, which is great too, because you learn so much from that. But you want to make sure you speak up and really get your points heard and get your point across as well. So,
How did you get to a point where you became a filmmaker? Where, yeah, like where you decided I'm gonna take the reins and just do my thing, or call the
yeah.
shots a little bit.
Yeah, I remember when I first heard that term, and it was probably, I think it was about 5 years ago. It was when I was writing for Authority magazine, and people started calling me a filmmaker, and I was like, should I correct them? I was like, I don't really feel like a filmmaker. I'm a producer or an actress. But it's so funny when you start getting those labels, and I remember, like, I was really uncomfortable with it at first. I was like, this isn't, that's not what I set out to do. I just had a certain visual in my mind of what a filmmaker was, I guess, and it wasn't me at
Wasn't
that point.
you?
But yeah, but now I think I'm flattered by it, and I think it makes you want to do more, the more things that come up, the more opportunities, and it's exciting in that way. So yeah, I think it's a good thing.
What does filmmaker mean to you, and what did it mean to you? Or
Back then,
uh-huh.
filmmaker back then, I think meant somebody, so funny. I guess somebody that, really went to school. They're a serious filmmaker. I
Yeah.
think that was the thing that was in my mind. And I went to school for business for a little while until I realized I just wanted to be a creative. Yeah, I think it was just a serious, you know, filmmaker who said that's what they wanted to do from day one. So I think that's why it made me uncomfortable because to me, I was just this, like I said, this creative being going with the flow. And maybe, I get lucky sometimes with the stuff I do, but yeah, but you know what? Filmmaker is whatever you want it to be, really. I mean, I've learned that as I've gone along too. And I think it's just doing, what you're inspired to do at that time, and every project is different. So there are some where, I wouldn't want to direct maybe, but I would love to act in it or I'd love to help produce. And it changes, every project. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
What inspires you in that way? I know for me, like you said, I like to go see theater. I'm not
Hmm.
necessarily a theater person, although I do it. I
Hmm.
enjoy seeing theater more than I like doing it. I like
Yes, me too.
being in films, but
Yeah. What inspires me? Everything inspires me.
mhm.
Everything. It's crazy sometimes when I think about it. Like, just going, like, even if I just walked out of my house right now and went for a walk, the person I see walking down the street, I'm like, oh, I'm always getting ideas for characters, and I
Mhm.
feel like sometimes I'll see just people watching and I'll file it away just from the acting perspective too, like, oh, what is this person? How do they act? So there's all little things like that, but as far as like filmmaking, what inspires me
Mhm.
or just
Yeah,
getting ideas, yeah, I think just people, relationships is so important. Just seeing how people interact with one another, what their goals are, what things come up. Yeah, there's so many things. There's so many
what
things.
what
Yeah,
makes a good film for you?
a good film for
Mhm.
me to
Yes.
watch
Yeah,
or
or to make either one.
to
Well, no,
make.
let's go to watch. What makes a good
Yeah,
film to
this
watch
is
for
going to
you?
be funny. I think some of my favorite movies are older movies.
Mm,
I don't watch a lot of TV or films now. Every once in a while something will kind of catch my attention, but I love like old Top Gun. Oh my gosh. Like that to me is like
really?
cool, this
Really?
is good stuff.
I
And
would
I
have
love the newer
never
ones
pegged you for
too.
that one.
What's up?
I would have never pegged you for that one.
Really?
No, not at all.
The
That's
old Top
hilarious.
Gun. And then just like 80s movies. I loved, all the 80s movies were great. And then as far as Making a movie. What catches my eye
Yeah,
to
to
yeah,
want to
I
make
think
one.
it's
Yeah.
yeah, I think I really look for that just realness in it, you know. If it's real and it's raw and it's exciting and the characters really have to speak to me, you know, make me want to tell that story. And then as far as documentary, it's the same thing. It's all about the, you know, the relationships and the issues that come up and how they're going to be solved and what also how it can help people, you know. That's a big one for me.
Now you have a great documentary that we know about. It's called Florida PD, right?
Yes, Heart of Florida
Yeah,
PD,
Heart of
yeah.
Florida PD. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so that was something I got the idea to do around COVID time. I was out in my community like I am a lot, and I noticed the first responders, the police officers, and just how amazing that they were with the young, you know, generation and different events they would be at. So basically, you know, during that time, nobody was inside, everybody was out. So I was kind of forced out to find, you know, breathe in the air, trying to find stuff to do. But yeah, it was just something I noticed, and I thought, wow, I would love to tell this story because I feel like so many times the stories that reach the media are so negative, right? And there are negative stories as well. I don't want to play that down, but what I was seeing was so positive, and I thought, wow, this is just so nice. You know, I wish that this would kind of make it into the media more. So it took me a while. It took me a while to get permission to do this because they didn't know who I was coming in. You know, this lady who is this person that wants to come in and film us? But it took me a while. But yeah, it ended up being amazing. And I shot a lot of it on my cell phone, which was pretty cool
Beautiful.
because you can't fit a big camera crew, you know, into a car, a
Right.
police car. It's just not going to work. So there was that aspect, and then there was also the aspect of having a big camera crew and a big camera that's going to intimidate people in certain situations. So you know, I did have a DP, but for most of it, it was just my phone because I wanted that intimacy that, you know, that couldn't come across the other way.
What were you shooting on that time? Do you remember?
What was he shooting on, or
What
what was
were,
I?
well, your phone.
Oh, my phone. It was
Mhm.
just an
The
iPhone. Yeah,
iPhone? Yeah.
just a regular iPhone. And
Mhm.
it was funny because when my editor got the footage, I was explaining to him, I'm like, you got this other footage from my phone, the extra, and he's like, it all looks the same. I can't tell the difference. And I was like, what? Utter shock. But no, it worked, and it was for that one. We didn't use a lot of lighting. I don't think we used any. I mean, maybe for a couple of interviews, but it was very raw, you know, and very real. So
See, that's the inspiration right there. You don't need fancy equipment. If you have a
no,
story to tell, everyone listen to this. If you have a story to
yes,
tell, you can shoot it with your phone.
yeah.
You can shoot it with your phone and
Yeah, you really
create,
can't. You don't need a lot of stuff. And I think that's what holds people back.
right?
You know, when they're first getting started, they think they have to go out and buy all this expensive equipment. And some of it's nice, you know, but you can, we've actually made, I haven't made, I should probably say that, but crews have made on certain movies like their own like dolly type things that you know for certain shots, and it looks
Mhm.
so cool. Like it's just it's fun to get creative and
Yeah.
just think there are no rules. And I think that helped me because I didn't go to film school,
Mhm.
you know, so I'm all about just you know letting people run with it. I'm like, you have an idea, let's do it, let's make
Right.
it happen, let's get creative because those are the shots that I love. So
I love good cinematography. And like you said, with a phone, you can do just about anything because it's so agile. Just
right.
take it and do it like this and get a great shot. You know,
Yes.
that's the
Yeah,
beauty
and
of it.
there are lenses and all kinds of stuff that you can buy for the phone too, almost like a gimbal. You know, there are things that you can do. So, yeah, I think just to get out there and just start playing, you know, and start see what you come up with.
How do you go about starting a documentary? You know, because a lot of times when you shoot a documentary, you have an idea of what you want to do, but it doesn't always work out that way. There's some sort of
Yeah, no, that's very
challenges.
true.
Hmm.
I think just having a loose outline of what you want to do. And I always start with the end in mind. Where do I want this to go? Who's the audience going to be? And then I kind of work backwards in that way.
Mm.
Yeah, it's pretty helpful. I've learned that just from doing it, and realize you get to the end and you're like, okay, distribution time. And then you're like, ooh, it's going to work backwards in that way. It's a smart way to do it. And when, of course, what was the question?
I was just saying, how do you start a documentary? Because a lot of
Oh
times the
yeah,
boundaries, yeah,
so yeah, just having that outline and knowing what you want to shoot, and also just observing. I mean, if there's a way to go, that's usually what I do. I'll go and just listen and watch and see what ideas come to mind, and talking to people, interviewing. I think that comes from like, a little bit of journalism background that I have. So it's so important, because the more you know, the more you can plan and kind of execute that. But yeah, it's going to change. It's going to change. And even with I think every documentary that I've done, there's been a point where I'm like, uh-oh, is this really are we gonna be able to pull this off? Because it veers off course. I think both of the police officers, yeah, both of the main cast, they don't work in that department anymore. They both left like during the filming. So yeah, there's always ways that you have to kind of scramble together and figure out how it's gonna go. But sometimes it works out for the better, you just have to kind of roll with it.
just kind of wing it. Interesting.
Yeah, because there's no way that you can control it. There's not, you can have a script, a loose script, but you can't control other people, what they're going to say, or
Absolutely.
their
The responses, or yeah,
anything. Yeah.
yeah,
So you just hope for the best.
right. It's
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
So, what do you have coming up in the future? You have over probably 100 projects that you've worked on,
Yeah.
plethora of work. What do you think?
Coming
What's
up.
coming up for you?
Yeah, I'm excited. I've been getting a lot of auditions out of like LA. I just got back from Atlanta doing a movie there last week. Actually, not even a week ago. Yeah, it's been pretty recent on that one. So just doing those, seeing what comes up. It's like you don't really know,
Right.
and you just it's exciting. I think it's an exciting thing not to know sometimes what's going to come through and what projects are going to catch your eye and stuff. And the podcast, Coffee with Karina has been a big part of just more of a passion project, I think. But it's kind of grown into so much more. I
Right.
never thought that it would. I didn't know in the beginning, it's just starting. I think is what's so important, putting one foot in front of the other, and that you can probably,
I like that.
yeah.
It's like an extension of who you are in a different way.
Yeah.
And this is all like one big family. What we do is you can be a filmmaker, you can be a director, you can be an actor, you have a podcast, and it's all within the same realm of who we are. It's an extension of me here and here and here and here.
Yeah.
And that's beautiful. I feel the same way. I feel like every day I'm growing. And, my goal for this year was to learn as much as possible, which is why I
Yes.
always start off my podcast by saying, I have questions. So I just want to ask questions. I want to learn. I just want to learn
Love
as much
that.
as possible when I talk to people. And now I'm studying to be a life coach so that I can, help other people
That's
with
so
their
cool.
life.
I
So
could
it's
see that. I think
just
you'd be a
growing.
great life coach. I could see that. Yeah. Yeah, just the inspiration and seeing what people are good at, right? What direction they want to. That's cool.
What's your advice to people out there who want to get into entertainment, and how would they get started, or anything you want to leave us with?
I would say just to start locally, seeing what's in your community, whether it be theater or public speaking, or maybe there's something you could do, even for a charity or something like that, just getting out and just getting involved. And a lot of times, projects come from those things, who you're meeting, and that's kind of where it starts. But there's also a lot online too now, which is great. So you can, get an agent, you can audition, you can do pretty much everything from your computer now,
Sure.
which is really cool. But yeah, just following your passion. It just goes back to the filmmaking, you don't need a ton of equipment when you start, and even when you've been doing it a while, it's still fun to kind of go back and, use the basics.
Excuse me, absolutely right. You don't need a lot of equipment. And to be honest, even those people who want to start off, you don't really even need an agent. If you want to act, act. If you want to direct, direct.
Yes.
Get together with some group of people. We have social media now. People are putting up reels. You're finding so many creative people, doing it and getting paid in different ways if that's what you're looking for. Become an affiliate, become a sponsor, make commercials on social media. There's so many different avenues, for people to get started. But yeah, you're absolutely right.
No, I agree with that. And just getting out and doing it. I think, I have friends that talk, they're like, I want to do this. I'm like, get out there.
Do it.
I bring them with me and stuff. And it's exciting to see their journeys too now. They're doing the acting thing and the producing thing, and it's really cool. Yeah.
I like that too. Also, you don't have to, okay, let me see if I can say this in a nice way. Take classes. Everyone take classes. That's an ongoing thing. But don't sit back and wait until you get so many classes. You have to learn this method. You can learn while you're doing it too. You can take direction, be open, but get out there and do it. Get out there and do it. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, because no one else is going to do it for you. I mean, you're the director of your own life, right?
That's right.
Get out and do that. But yeah, classes are great. And the cool thing is that you can do it online now. It's not like you have to be in LA or New York like it used to be. I just studied last week with a coach I have in LA, and it was incredible. I was like, oh my God. Every time I'm like, I can't believe I don't have to be there. Coaching session. Because there's so much, available now that's opened up, which is amazing.
I sit in on a comedy open mic from LA every week. I'm thinking about doing some stand-up comedy. So why not everything's virtual now, just click. Yes. You can do that. Just learn a few things while you're sitting there. So I take a webinar a day almost. Wow. So you have access to so much.
Yeah.
Tell us the name of your company and where we can find you and all these fun things.
Yeah, so my company is called Tallulah Films, so TallulahFilms.com. The podcast is Coffee with Karina, Entertainment Unfiltered. It's on most platforms now, wherever you listen. And the best place to find me, if you want to see what I'm doing, is probably IMDb. I think that's the most updated. And then just social media. I'm usually on Instagram. That's usually where I am. I don't get many messages from Facebook or anything like that. Twitter, I'm like, I don't even know what's going on in that realm. Or X, whatever they call it now. But yeah, Instagram. It's Karina Michel Official on Instagram.
There you have it. The incredible Karina Michel, live here on OneMicNite. Thank you very much. The Emmy Award-winning, may I say. Thank you for all your work. Thank you for spending some time here with us in OneMicNite, because time is the most valuable thing you can give. Find her at Karina Michel Official on Instagram, TallulahFilms.com. Go check out the work in IMDb. My name is Marcos Luis, Marcos Luis. Thank you for joining me. The show is called OneMicNite. Make sure you follow us and share our episodes. OneMicNite is OneMicNite. Look out for the OneMicNite Live birthday party coming up in July for 19 years. Talk Live Pod. That's the hashtag. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.